recording now.
Cool.
And then we got Facebook. Okay, Brad, are you with me here?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and test it. Okay, great. Welcome to Note Investing Made Easier, our weekly podcast. We have a very special guest on today in recognition of our Technology Appreciation Month, which is what I've labeled November. And so I'll announce our guest in just a minute. I just want to make a few announcements. We only have a few spots left for the November 30th and December 1st Note Investing Fundamentals Workshop here in Washington, D.C. So if you haven't registered, go to the events tab and make sure you register for that. It should be, it's going to be a wonderful event. We have people flying in from all over the country, and really look forward to seeing everyone and connecting with everyone, especially as it relates to notes. So we have, again, November is, I've labeled it Technology Appreciation Month, and you know, what better person to have on than Brett Berkey from PaperStack. Brett, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to this. You know, you really opened my eyes with what you showed me at the Note Expo a few weeks back in terms of what you guys have put together. And you guys are just taking off to the moon with what you have with PaperStack.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's lots of fun.
Well, let's jump into it. So go ahead, share the screen. This is your show, Brett, for the next hour, and take us through, show us everything you have, and I hope lots of people sign up and start you know, combing through for inventory to take down for themselves.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, I'll start it now. All right. So you should be seeing a list of houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. So PaperStack. This is we have officially launched the version 1. Before we had the pilot program, but this is the version 1 as of October, late in October. It's everything that we've heard that people wanted to see. We've talked to all our customers over the last year, learned the pain points, what they wish it did, what they didn't like, what they did like, and we really went through and we were really trying to make something that the industry loves. We are a small team, but we take everything into consideration, and when people say, I wish it did this, we actually listen and we actually do it. And then I update that person and say, hey, it does that now. So this is a new look. I'm going to go ahead and get right into some of the parts that people have interest in. This is the listing panel. So you'll be able to see all the mortgage notes for sale as a buyer. And now we can process pools. So up to 2, up to 1,000, whatever. And it's just as fast as if you're just taking down one asset. So we still have a lot of the filtering processes we have over here, where you can sort by non-performing or performing. But
hey, Brett,
yes.
can I hate to interrupt you,
Sure.
and this is going to be really good for folks to know as they sift through your system. Can we just take a step back because there's people that don't know who PaperStack is.
Oh, okay.
They don't understand about the quality that you seek with the note inventory and that you place into your system. You know, why PaperStack, why you guys came into existence to fill, you know, whatever void in the marketplace. And just start there so people can understand that framework, and then it'll make it more meaningful as you go through the system.
Sure thing. So the origin story of PaperStack is that two of my business partners are active note investors. They have been in it for like 7 or 8 years now, but they were, prior to that, they're real estate forever. They came into it, loved the asset class, loved the returns, and just found the process of actually the transaction process difficult. They ran into some issues where they had wired money to somebody that they didn't know who they were. They were expecting to get the collateral files, and the guy went on vacation for like 2 weeks. And this was family and friends' money, and they were flipping out and, you know, trying to keep it together. And they just thought they lost $200,000 of family and friends' money. And what happened was the guy came back from vacation, and he said, he kept saying, I left it in the box. They thought Dropbox, but there's actually another website called box.com. So it was that, and it was just like this. It's very wild, wild west, and some of the things they found it really hard to read big tapes. You know, there's, you know, it's 100 columns down, you know, 50 rows, and it's like it's just it's difficult. So they just thought there should be a better process for making transactions smoother, and, you know, what's the point of, why do we have to still scan stuff, fax things, do all those things? And the lack of communication, how things go offline, where someone might be calling you and they said this. And if you're working with the team, someone might be texting something different. So they wanted a streamlined process for communication when you're purchasing or selling assets. They needed a legal trail to show that, hey, this is what he said, she said, in case that it's ever needed. And they were tired of, you know, having to print things, scan things, go find a notary, all those things like that. They said, why can't this be done online? And so that's what we started, and it really got going with developer Mike. He saw the vision, and he had to figure out how to take the process that's been done offline and figure out a way to do all the steps that are needed to do a transaction and do it online. And so we launched a pilot program last year in September, trying to get what the industry wanted, and that's where we learned a lot of the things. And this year we launched our official version, and just what I was saying before, this is everything that everyone wanted. What PaperStack is for a buyer is a great place for inventory. It is also a great place for first-time buyers or people that are new to the industry, because we have a process of to-dos to where I'll be showing that, but you can't move to the next step in the purchasing process without doing the step before, meaning you can't screw things up. And so there are times where people might skip a step, and that could lead to trouble down the road, and they might not know. And there's a lot of times for investors, it might seem scary to not know what is next. And so we wanted to make it, to kind of expand this industry, and say, hey, if we make the process of the transaction, the closing, easier, that'll be better. And so more people will be okay with going through the transaction. So that's what we did with this version. And and for sellers, it's a great place to list your inventory. We have, I'll be showing some of the features where we have your own communities where you can have all your buyers and sellers in there, so that these are the people that are, actual buyers, when you can invite people to your community. So it's kind of like your own little world.
Okay, so let's just stop there. So if you're someone who does a note take down 20 notes, and you're going to work with 15 of them, and you want to, offload 5 of them, they can contact PaperStack to go and find out how to set them up on your system or be considered to be sold through PaperStack.
For sure. So we have a seller onboarding process. And so what we do is we try to get, sellers that have tapes. We're trying to integrate with servicers, because then we know that these are the actual principal on the assets. And so we want to work with them, because we know that if it came from a servicer, they had to deal with all the regulations. We know that, okay, this is legit, this is their stuff. And so that's what we've been doing now. We're trying to do integrations. We've mapped the tapes for a couple different servicers out there. We just did one that I know a lot of seconds people are interested in, which is Land Home. We just mapped that one. FCI, SN. There's one. Main Street. Main Street is another one we just mapped. And so those are all there. So if you have a tape in those formats and those are your servicers, when you become a seller, you just say, hey, I'm with Main Street, and then you can upload your tape and it'll auto-populate. So it's a great place for a seller to offload stuff. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you reiterated another benefit of using servicing. That, they have things organized for you, and they can help you with if you're selling notes as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's.
But I assume for the most part, people are looking at PaperStack from a buyer's perspective. So, I think this is where the point I interrupted you. So please go,
No,
go right in.
Yeah, no, for the buyers, it's really good. We have a lot of features that make things easier. So we found that one of the newest features that I really like, because our goal is to try to make PaperStack part of your buying process. So when you're thinking about buying assets, sometimes you might forget, and you're like, what was that site? I got to go back to PaperStack. Well, we changed it so now that you can just have, if you have certain buying criteria, say like you just like non-performing notes, and you just like you want them in asset pools, you can save searches, and then automatically, as long as you have an account, you can say pools of MPNs, and you can say notify me when these listings match anything that comes on the site matches my criteria, and you'll get an email as soon as that comes in. And so we're trying to make it easier for buyers. The way we've shown assets on an actual listing page, this one actually is a pool, so it has the listing aggregate data, so it's adding up all the information for all of the assets. So you can get a high overview of, everything that's going on with this current pool. And then, but we also show a lot of the details. So a lot of people ask the questions of, what's the interest rate? They want to know all this information. And so we have it all here on each asset, so they can kind of go through and determine, is this something that they're interested in? This one's in bankruptcy. This one's occupied. So maybe that will make someone's buying criteria different. Maybe they wouldn't want this asset. We try to give as much detail as we can, and if not, you can always contact the seller, and we do that through doing one of these, and I'll show you how that looks on a different one. Hold on, let me go here. So this is one. Where's I'll find a good one that's hasn't been bid on yet. Here we go. So this one, I'll show you how so you can go in here and see this asset, and you're like, okay, I want to take a look at this. You can message a seller, say something like, I'm interested in this asset. Oh, if I can spell, there we go. And so what happens is that Donnie Matador will automatically get a notification in his transactions and know that somebody is over there wanting to talk to him. He'll get an alert. And this is a great way for somebody who manages a lot of sales or is managing a lot of buying. It's just your transaction dashboard. Basically, what it will do is it will allow you to sort by bids. So when you have 20 bids on a single asset, and say like it's like running a trade desk and you're brokering these deals or something, and you want to know what is my best offer on my asset, you can sort by that information. You can kind of see what you have to do. Soon we'll have a much more robust dashboard where you will actually be able to see, like at a high level, what is going on with all my different things. What needs my attention right now? Which ones are almost complete? Which ones aren't? This one is just at a beginning stage. So I can click in here and see this guy's asking for information, and so I can say, what did he say? This might say something like, I'm interested in this asset. I could say, we can go back and forth. And this is where you start the negotiation process. One of the things that we've done recently, which is really cool, because we want to make sure that a legal trail and all the information is maintained in a timeline view, we've had the ability to call the other person through PaperStack, and we will transcribe the conversation and add it to the timeline. What this will do is guarantee that there's never going to be, well, I thought you said this, but they really said this. And it's like, well, what does it say in the transcription? So our main goal is to keep the conversation, recordable, so that it's always there. Because a lot of people are running teams, and that's something else we have too, is a team feature where you can invite your admins, different people that work in your business, to add and be a part of that. And they need to be able to understand at all times, where are we at with this transaction, what has been said. So we just added that recently, and I'd called Mike, but I think he's working on something right now. So I'm gonna let me do it real quick. Okay, I'm gonna test this. It's really cool. So if I go over here and I make a phone call, put my phone. So let's see. In a second, I can hear him. So now it's calling me. We never given out either of our phone numbers. And I can say, it's kind of hard to put the phone in my ear when I have it like this. But I can just say, hello, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Okay. If I hang up, it'll show up on the timeline right there.
He knows. There he is.
Yeah, and then I can see what we actually said is right there as well. So the legal.
Where is it?
Right below, right here, it says, "Hello, how's it going?" That's what I said, and he said, "Hey, what's up?" Okay.
I don't see that on the screen though.
You don't see it right here?
No. Maybe it needs to be refreshed or.
Do you see the wolf here?
I see note. No, I see note terms, and I see note data last updated 23 days. Note terms, property details. The main dashboard screen.
Oh,
okay, seller comments. Okay, now
okay,
yeah.
I wonder why that was like that. Hold on a second. Let me make sure you see this.
Yeah.
So now you see this, the to-dos. So here
yes,
it is.
I see to-dos, correct.
Okay, so
now I see voice transcript, yes.
And then you can see, hello, how's it going? Hey, what's up? Okay.
Oh, that is so wild.
So this way, nothing falls through the cracks. Everything's handled. So basically, as a buyer, I can always come in here and negotiate price. I can bid on this, change the pricing, and then the seller will get a notification saying, hey, they've adjusted the bid. Once we've come to the price where we can all agree on, I can accept the price as a buyer. And then as a seller, I'll go over here real quick and I will accept the price as the seller. At this point, a lot of times what happens is that the buyer will need to do some due diligence. This is where they go and get their O&E reports. We have some of those features that are on the system that will be provided by Dickie Baldwin and then Pro Title, and so we'll have that soon. And then once you get all that information and they're ready to move to closing, you can change your cutoff date. We provide escrow services and an audit report to make sure what the seller says it is what it is. And we upload color copies of the actual collateral file.
Okay, but before they put in the indicative bid, the seller can post their O&E report, or if they have it, right, to make it easier. I mean, that's more, right, that helps move more sales.
Yeah, definitely. So we always encourage the sellers to have a updated BPO on the system, and they can always click here and share a file. Just click it and find one on their computer. So let's see here. It's a screenshot. So that I can click and then there it is, and I can call this, like, I usually say BPO and then do the date, whatever it is, so 14, 18, and that's it. So now that the BPO will show up in the files place, but we can also or it'll show up here, right here.
Okay.
So but it can also be shared inside of here. So I can say, I need a BPO. They can click this, have the drop down come, click, and then there they go. The BPO is going to be right here as well. So this will be on the timeline. So we give them there's multiple ways that you can share when you're uploading assets on the platform. You can put it in there then. So there's multiple ways to share the documents. And there's also privacy and public settings. So if it's something sensitive that you don't want everyone to see, I mean, BPO is pretty okay, but other things like I don't know, servicing
skip trace report or something, a credit pool.
Like that. Yeah, credit pool. You want to keep that, and you can set the privacy to only share that when you're in a transaction and you approve it. So that's some of the things there. So here I'm going to go ahead and approve the closing here.
Well, how long does after the indicative bid is accepted, how long is the due diligence period?
That we haven't put in a hard stone. I know that a lot of sellers are wanting a a timeline. Like, they say, hey, we've talked about that. 'Cause some people are Node Expo were like, well, it's got to be a week, or they don't want them tying up their assets. So we're working on that. We're also working on feature twos that will kind of speed those up by doing more of an auction setting. So in the future, a seller will be able to put an asset out and let people have a week of due diligence, but they're all able to bid. But then when it starts the auction time, then it's a countdown. So they're going through an auction at that point. So but right now it's not set in stone of how long they can do their due diligence. We're kind of leaving that between the buyer and the seller.
And you're going to link up with Dickie Baldwin to be on the back end when someone orders an O&E report. It goes to his company to get processed.
Right here. So it's right here. So we just met with him. He's a good friend. We met with him out at Node Expo.
Who doesn't know Dickie?
I mean, yeah, he's the hub to all the spokes. I mean, he's so cool connected. So we have these coming soon, right here, and we just had to figure out how we're going to do it. So because then that goes offline. So we're basically what we're doing now is we're setting up Dickie his own version of PaperStack, where when he gets a new BPO ordered, he'll get an alert, and then he can come and upload, and then it will show up. And when he clicks the upload, it will show up in the timeline view.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the same kind of thing when we get to the auditing session. When we have a separate place for an auditing company to upload, it'll show up in here, and they can click it and go and see it. So it's coming soon. There's so many things on the plate, but once everything's like accepted by the buyer and the seller, the negotiations turn green like this. And when you see the green right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So what that means is that now anybody else who is actually in a transaction with this asset is now locked out of a deal. So they will not be able to move forward. Now it's between the buyer and the seller, and they can go to the closing phase. So with that, had you provided vesting profiles in your account, you can just click and decide who's buying it. Are you buying it from your self-directed IRA? Are you buying it from your LLC? For this one, I'm gonna actually, I think I'm the seller here. I think so. I'm selling it from my LLC, and then I need to provide a bank account for when the money is done. And you do this all prior when you're setting up your account. So all this banking information will be there when you have a fully filled out account. And then lastly,
now if someone's overpricing their notes and they're not getting sold on your site, do you just let them linger, or do you punch them up and have an expiration time period for them?
There is, because we were seeing on the previous version where things were sitting there for just long. So your notes will expire, and with the coming dashboard that Mike is building, we'll have things where it will show kind of like analytics. Hey, this asset's been listed on the site for 15 days. It's had a lot of views, but no one's bidding. Might want to adjust a bit, or might want to adjust your sale price. So we're going to have those things, but we don't want stale data. So there is an expiration, and then you have to go back and actually list it again. And at that point, we'd assume maybe the seller realizes maybe I should add a BPO, or maybe I should change the pricing or something like that. We're kind of leaving a lot of those things up to the sellers, because everyone does it differently. So it's kind of hard to be put into a really strict thing. So now as the seller, I need to provide the mortgage recording information. We are trying to work to get this turned into a way that will automatically import the data, but that's not there yet. So for the demo, I'm just going to autofill it, and I can set that. And so now you can see, as a seller, I don't have anything to do. And as a buyer, I don't know if you can see, for some reason you can't see this screen, but let me just go ahead and get those parts done.
I see your vesting information.
Okay, so
so that produces the note sale agreement.
Yeah, so this is all the stuff that will be auto-populated into the PSAs and everything like that. So now we get to the part where I can, as a buyer, I can sign the purchase sale agreement. The really cool thing about this is that if you're not the person that's actually going to be taking down this note, you can always email this document to that person. They'll get an email. All they have to do is click the button. It opens a window. They can sign it with their finger if they're on the go. They don't ever have to have a PaperStack account, nothing. But this is one of the things that we're going to be using for brokers that actually have a buyer and seller. They can have their own community and invite the buyer and seller and do everything through this way. And the actual,
or just asset managers that are working out notes for note holders. They can just go and they can, the note owner can just say, hey, I want to sell off 5 of them. Then, they don't have to be bothered with having a paper stack account. The asset manager can handle all that.
That's the goal. So we're trying to make the asset manager's job easier and more like a more digital process.
Yeah, and
So,
I think that's really, I don't know, this is just an aside, but I got to think that that may be more of your target market is an asset manager that's established, that has a lot of, activity already, a lot of workload already, to come integrate with your system versus, maybe a note broker who may be on the earlier side of their career with note investing.
We've that's definitely some of the people we want to talk to, and we have been talking to them because we want to make their job easier. We know the ways that they do it now, and it's they might have a system, but we're trying to make it a little bit easier for them. We got to save them time, and we got to make it more efficient. And that's what we're focused on, because otherwise they might not change. But if we can do both those and then save them time and money and make it more efficient, it'd be a no-brainer, I think. So
yeah, because their system is probably just posting on a Facebook group saying I have an NPN for sale.
Very true. But the really cool thing is we also have the ability now, maybe in the next week or so, when you do that. So I know a lot of people put their assets in an email and they have, click to view this asset. We're going to be providing links for those things, and you can click and you'll go straight into that asset on PaperStack, and then you can start a transaction that way. So because we know a lot of people use MailChimp to send out stuff, and we see it all, and we're like, well, how do we make their lives easier if we were to be able to provide them a link straight into transaction so someone can start bidding on that right away? So that we're so many ideas, we're working on them. It's a lot of stuff. So
that's great. And for note sellers and note buyers, you're dealing with first and seconds? What about commercial paper?
We haven't looked at the commercial paper yet, because we're really trying to focus on how do we make this the best for the people we mostly like, first and seconds people. So there are, we have a lot of people that are putting on seconds. So we're trying to, because honestly, my 2 business partners have never bought a second. So we're learning from the industry of like, well, how's it different? What information do you need? Because we sold a seconds, but it's just we sold a couple seconds on here. It's just those are presented differently. Eventually, we're going to be looking at partials and stuff like that. We got a lot of feedback. Hey, do you do partials? So that's an idea. So we're open for anything. It's just a matter of manpower and time. So, but yeah, this is where, as the buyer, you'll be wiring funds, and we have an integrated service for escrow, and we pay for the escrow service. This is just a service we provide with the transaction. And
is the seller and buyer do the 600 both?
Where for the escrow?
For the paper stack fee. Do each side pay the 600?
Yeah, well, if it was, so the paper stack fee is
it's paid by the buyer, 1%. But does the seller have to pay 600 as well at the time of the sale?
It's 1% of the sale. So
okay,
and then so let's see here. So it's so for this one being 60,000, that's 1% of the sale. And then, but we do cover a lot of hard costs. So we're paying for the shipping information, the escrow, the auditing, and then of course having the technology and being able to store all this stuff in the service. So
you shouldn't pay for that. You should pass that cost on.
What's that? Which
you should pass the cost on. I'm just saying, the 600 should just be for working massive hours coding.
Yeah, it's one of those things to get traction, to get this thing grown, we want to make sure we do right by everybody. So if we can cover it, then we're going to do it. It's like, even we've talked about some other stuff, but we're trying to provide them with value, and we see that's probably one of the best ways we can. Like, they're going to pay these costs anyhow. If we can cover them in a better manner, why not? So, as long as we're still making money, that's good. So, at this point, after the buyer wires the funds, we have a system to know that when the funds have hit, the escrow company is able to click a button, and we will know, and the seller will then be able to provide the shipping information for the actual collateral file. So I'm just going to put in anything right now. So What happens now is the seller will get a print off of a USPS print label, and they can print this off, put on a package, and soon, very soon, they'll just be able to click a button and someone will come and show up at their door and pick it up. So honestly, they could do their entire business from their pajamas if they want. So
wow.
So this is pretty cool. So this is the first class label. They put the collateral file in, and now it's
not going to be Dickie. Dickie's not going to show up at my door, is he?
They're picking up your packages. I don't think so. But yeah. No, yeah, that's something that we were just like, wow, that's really cool that we can do that. So that's coming soon. But at this point, what happened is that the auditor will receive the collateral file, and at that point, they can view it and kind of go through it and say, is this what the seller said it is? And so when that happens, the auditor will create an audit report, and it will show up here on the timeline, as you can see. And as the buyer, I can look through and see, is this everything that the seller said it was? Is this the original note? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Is the Bailey letter included? Yep. Okay. So I can click this here and download the collateral file in full color. So it's a full color copy, so you can see if it's wet ink. You can see all those things. So it's really neat. And then after that,
if there's any discrepancies with the collateral file, can they still use that transcribing service to hash it out with the seller?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. They can still go back and negotiate now. So they could still, if they were like, great. Hey, I'm going to have to do this, negotiations are still, they can open it right back up. So we're trying to do it because there's been times that, my business partners had bought something and they're like, this isn't what they said it was going to be. And they got something, they're like, man. So, but, it's kind of hard recourse is harder that way. But if you have an auditor that's viewing each thing that is sent, then you have that third party to say, yes, this is what they said it is. And it's just a protection for the buyer. So at this point, though, if the buyer says, you know what, I am okay with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign the disbursement agreement. Hold on a sec. I'm going to go ahead and disperse the funds. They can click a button, and we'll just do for fun the PIN signatures. So if they're on the go, they can click that, and they are good for now. And as a seller, I can say, okay, the buyers, they're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do the allonge and do this the assignment. So when they execute the assignment, when they do that, you have to get this notarized. So we have we integrate with a system where a notary will show up on your webcam, and you'll answer some banker questions like, did you own a Toyota in the 90s? Did you live at these addresses? Show me your license, and show back and forth. And they'll say, you want to stamp these documents? And they go, yep. And you can go boom, 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 boom. And if it's, multiple documents, it's so much faster this way. And not only that, you have a video trail. So the notary can never say, I didn't notarize that. And you can say, is that you in video? Yes, it is. I guess I did notarize that. So there's always that legal trail that would just, make it that much harder to have a problem with it. And then at that point, you execute the allonge. Once this happens, the auditor will get an alert saying, hey, they've done all they need to do. Now, what we need you to do is, I'm going to sign the disbursement real quick. There.
So are you guys manually generating the allonge in AOM? Do you have templates, or how does that work?
So we brought it to lawyers, to create these things. And so they're like really, really well thought out assignments and everything. But the good thing is you can always, we've had people say, you know what, I want to use mine. You can always upload your own. Like there's a way to upload your own. I've already signed all the documents here, but you can upload your own document and sign it that way. So some people feel safer with their own stuff. As long as the buyer and the seller are cool with it, we want to make sure that they can do what they want to do. So that's an option as well. But yeah, at this point, you can see that the funds have been dispersed to the seller. So what happens is the auditor will get a shipping label just like the seller did. They'll put it on there. As soon as we see that it's changed from getting ready to being delivered and is in transit, the money from the escrow company will go to the seller, and the collateral file will go to the buyer. Everyone's happy campers. All your to-dos will turn green. Hold on a second. Let me go back to this one. Yeah, so all this will turn green, and you've just completed an entire transaction digitally on PaperStack.
Yeah.
So that's the whole. Here we go. So it goes, collateral files to the buyer, and it's been shipped. So this should be Should be soon in August. It's the demo site, so it's simulating. So maybe it's taking a couple seconds to show up. But some of the other things that I really think that a lot of people are going to be interested in are things like the communities, and I was just going to show you that.
Because on the communities, Owen writes he's particularly interested in the community feature to create a private community for selling notes and connecting, communicating with investors. So I'm not sure if that's more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. What's up, Owen? Got his email earlier today. So you can go in here in your account settings, and you just start a community. So we just call this Owen's. Sorry. Owen's private community.
I see your partners picked you up for your words per minute, right?
Yeah, it's one of those.
I know you're on the webinar.
I know.
I'm sure you go to town normally.
I do. I got this. I have a standing desk, so it's kind of. I'm not on my little standing pad, so I'm off a little bit. But so I can say, okay, who can see these? All my community members. I update the community. Now with this, I have my community. I can see that I'm the owner. Once I go into my community, I can see I want to invite users. You can edit community settings. Like this might be something. So let's see here. We haven't, maybe Mike hasn't deployed it yet as of now, but you'll be able to add your own fees. So so as a seller, so like if it's your own community and as maybe say a broker, you want to put a little bit for what you've done, some money on top of it, or determine who pays what. You can do that as the person in the community. Buyers pay this, sellers pay this, or the buyer pays all of it, the seller pays all of it. We know that people want to do it their own way, and there should be like a. What happens too is you have a private link that is provided that shows up right here. That'd be why. And when that happens, was that deployed? The private link?
No, it's not on demo.
It's not on demo.
You go to yours.
Okay. Yeah. So we have the private link ability that you're able to. Hold on a sec. Yeah, so you're able to, with the private link, you're able to just share it on maybe say your Facebook group or wherever and kind of go. Hold on a second, I'll just show you real quick if I can get to it. I guess it's.
That's fine. I mean, it connects to social media, right? It connects.
Yeah. So it's basically it's a like Bitly links, like the little Bitly links. We have a PStack links. So it's pstack.co/your community, and you can share that on your email. Hey, anybody wants to join my community? They'll get that link and they'll say, hey, you've been invited to this community, and then they can see it. We are going to be adding.
Tell me why what's your thought process behind creating this community feel within an exchange company?
Well, because we've learned that we've had, different, because it's a pretty open community. People have used it differently. We've had people that said, I have my buyers and I have my assets. I just want your transaction engine. I don't want to list it on your stuff. I want them to see my stuff. Some of them used it as a closing house. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently they're like, look, I don't want anybody to see this. I don't want it live. I just want it live for like a second so my buyer can go, it was live. And legally, I guess there's some rules around that. So then he can click and go into transaction, but I don't want anybody else to see it. And what we've realized is that for the communities feature, it does two things. For the person who has their own community, they want their private community. It helps them just sell to their community. They know these people are actual buyers. They're not going to tie up their assets and try to do things. Maybe try to daisy chains or do something that's nefarious. And so they like that. And then also too, we find that people are using the community feature just to already have deals they need to close and just use a transaction engine. So it's an efficiency product for them. That's what we found with some of these people, that you're saving me so much time that you're an efficiency product, not a marketplace. And so I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I never thought of it like that, but we didn't know until we knew. It's one of those things that once it was out, and the communities feature will have even more robust features, such as, like I was saying, for say like a broker who wants, or a trade desk or an asset manager, they have their little world and they're like, look, I just want my buyers, and here's the assets for my sellers for this month. Everyone gets an invite, and when the new ones show up, they get an email and they can come to my private world, and I put my fee on it. Everyone's happy. I'm good to go. We also have it for single brokers that are like, I got the deal. I just need a place to transact and make sure that I'm not cut out. So that way they can basically close an entire deal, and the seller and the buyer never really know who each other are. The
But if
broker's one.
if you're a broker, then are you able to carve in a broker fee as an additional fee on the invoice, so the broker's paid?
Yep, that was it's not on demo apparently. It's on our dev server, but it's going to be live in like a day or
that's that's fascinating that you're doing that. And because what is a consultant, broker, whatever you want to call them, what are they concerned about? The transaction closes and they have to wait a month to get their $500 or whatever.
No, that this way it's handled all up front, and they know that they're not going to get cut out. So that's our goal, because we know that brokers close a lot of deals, and so we got to make sure that we cater to everyone. So it's cater to the sellers that are wanting their own community, their own world. How do we do that? How do we satisfy the brokers that are out there? They're hustling, they're putting things together, they're trying to make deals happen. How do we cater to them as well? And so with the buyer features or the community features of having your fees, making sure they don't get cut out. Also making sure the buyer and the seller could all the time stay anonymous to each other. So they never actually saw the transaction. So that way they just don't go around them next time. So there's ways we've tried to think of everything. We haven't, people bring us ideas and we just go, okay, that's a good one. We're going to put that on the list. So
what's interesting is that just with the community feature and just the sophistication with the exchange feature, all the features with the exchange portion, is that an asset manager or someone on the front end who's doing loan advisory type work, they can use your technology as a resource for them, or as a feature and benefit for their company, and just piggyback off of all your hard work.
Well, that's our goal. We're trying to just be the technology company for the note industry. That's our goal. And how do we do that? And so we're trying to work with servicers too. So a lot of times servicers, if we have something like this, the servicing might change. So we're trying to work with servicers directly to say, look, here's your community, invite your sellers to this community, manage everything here, reboard with your servicing company. So you don't lose the servicing, because we know that might be a problem, that they sell the asset. Now the current person that just purchased it has to request all the information to have maybe the servicing notes ported to a different servicer, and that takes time. We know that if it's been going good with one servicer and you're okay with that servicer, the button will be at the bottom. Just maintain servicing with same, just a reboard with the same servicer. Click done. And so those are servicer features that we hope they'll embrace, because it'll help to keep their business within their ecosystem. And that's one of the goals. And for the asset managers, it's just a system that, they can have an entire team working with them. They can provide their team members like different admin features, like they can do this, but they can't do that. So it's a way for, I don't know, we're just trying to cater to everyone. And that's pretty much the gist of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How is it? So, is it a real balancing act to be growing note inventory along with growing a base of buyers?
It's funny you say that, because I've been in like online marketing since 2005, and I've been a part of a company before that we almost brought it public. We were going with Pink Sheet, but it was all straight affiliate marketing, all straight e-commerce stuff, and it was hard. Doing this is harder, because I never thought about it. Like I never thought of it like, whoa, a platform where I have to deal with buyers and sellers, and I have to have it's a chicken and egg thing. Like, well, I got to have sellers to have the buyers, but I need buyers to buy the stuff from the sellers. So it's this balancing act. And I think the best way that I've been able to make it work is that we just got to build it on the basis of great technology and customer service. Really, I mean, if someone's like, how do I do this? Like, you can just always click this thing and you can contact support, and I pop up on the screen. So it's like one of those things where we're always right there trying to give the best support, and that's what I think will make it good for the entire community. Because I don't know if that was kind of answered the question.
Yeah, no, it does. It's it makes me think of like an outsourced trade desk concept.
Yeah.
So Now, Owen says, any plans to build features for what happens behind the scenes for those notes being worked in-house? I'm not sure what Owen's asking here. Any plans to build features for what happens behind the scenes for those notes being worked in-house? He says, I see how this manages the trades back and forth. What of working through notes? Oh, I think he's talking about just the note workouts, the borrower workouts. So that's after the note's sold. The asset management portion. Yeah, that's a whole other ball game. So maybe next week Brett will have something rolling out on that. Seems like every day something's coming out.
Yeah, I mean it's not out of the ballpark because we know that there's still stuff to do after the fact, and so that's usually, I guess, with the server. So there's people that have good like checklist systems that can be used, but we are actually like currently, because we've started to grow, we've gotten traction. We're actually doing a funding round, and so with the idea of bringing on developers for us to do those things, because it's the guy that's coding it all is sitting right behind me right now, and so he's a busy dude. So if we can get a couple of other people once we have funding to like 4 developers, I mean the sky's the limit. I mean we could really do all kinds of stuff, and then that's where any suggestion that comes our way, we evaluate it and say, will this work? And then we have some features that will be coming out that are, I mean, just mind-boggling. Basically, we're going to be using machine learning to get real value because we'll have so much analytics on the price of what sells and what locations to really get like a Zestimate kind of idea, but it'll be like a paper stack estimate. I don't have a buzzword for it yet, but that idea will happen. We'll be using machine learning to kind of better learn what sells where, what it's selling for, and be able to provide that data back to our users so they can have a better listing price. So they know it's not based off opinion. It's based off hard fact from, machine learning data.
Can you take us back to the page where you had it was a dashboard overview for a pool of notes?
Sure. Dashboard overview for
because I have a few questions with that. So really your aim as a service to buyers or sellers is someone can come to you with a pool of notes. They have 10 notes they want to offload. Obviously, someone could buy it as a bundle, or someone can just buy one-offs from that. But you said you roll up all the data from the pool, right?
Yeah. So that's the aggregate data is right here. So this is all the stuff within this pool. This pool has 2 assets.
Okay.
So you'll know this is everything from the property values from each of them. So we have one is at 115. Okay, so yeah, this is the total asset price for both of them. So one's 47, one's 86. So this is what that you're paying in terms of it's the aggregate data from everything in the pool. And then of course when you click into one, you'll see the single listing information down here. So you can.
And I think that's helpful for anyone that's looking to leverage a bulk buy. Is they see someone selling 2 notes, and that seller is going to be very happy to sell both notes on the same day versus have to wait 1 month later. So you have a little bit more negotiating room from a buying perspective.
Another here's another thing too that I was saying earlier. When there are BPOs provided and information that's public, it'll all be right down here at the bottom. So that's another thing. But also too within transactions, like I think this one's 39%. So if I click into this one right here, I can actually. So I could include notes. I could actually include more notes. I don't know why I'm not able to do that right now. I guess because maybe I am I'm the buyer. So I'm sorry. Ronald only has 1 note. That's why. So if the seller has a lot of other notes, there's a plus sign that shows up here, and I can click, and then I can go into all their other assets on the platform. And if I want to buy more notes from the seller because I like the way maybe he structured his deals, like maybe they're, I don't know, seller finance, and he put everything at 10%. And I'm like, wow, does he have more than that? Yeah. And then I can click and add, well, I'll take all of them. And he can just add all those assets and create their own pool. And as long as the seller is cool with it, you can take them all down. So that's something for the sellers.
Well, I think that's a good lead in to Matt Kelly has a question. He writes, with other competition like FCI's new platform, Nelex, Stackfolio, Real Insight, banks' in-house platforms, and monsters like 10x auction.com. How do you feel that your platform can stand out to attract institutional sellers?
That's a good question. We've talked to Stackfolio a couple of times. I know Pav, he's out of Atlanta. And so, I mean, we're talking to some of them right now, some big ones, you know, or I can't really say it until it's like a public thing, but you know, that's where the efficiency product comes into play. So, I mean, we're really focused. I mean, Stackfolio, those guys play in a different world. We started in this world where it was single assets, maybe small pools, 10, 15. We know that to do what they're doing with, like, say, Stackfolio or 10x, it's just a different world it's two different worlds. You know, that they're way up here. We're talking 50 million, 100 million pools, and we're talking a lot lower. So how are we gonna cater to them? We haven't really focused on it yet. What we want to do is build our base that we know where we started, the people that we know in the industry, the people at Note Expo, the people at Note Camp, all the different events where we attend, and those things. Build it for them, and then eventually we can focus on something else. But if we kind of spread our wings of saying, let's go for the institutional guys now, then we build this for people like, you know, everyone in No Investing Made Easier. You know, they're buying a single asset, maybe 5 assets here. That's who it's for right now. But we can get to that later.
Yeah, but you know, don't underestimate the Brett factor. Brett, if you want to tell the story here, we have a few minutes on how you tracked down the CEO for that.
So yeah, that was fun. So I got a
large bank.
Yeah, a very large publicly traded company. It was actually, I was supposed to be at Note Expo that day, but I had to reroute my drive to Jacksonville to go be there. But he was a keynote speaker at this event, and I was going to talk to him. And it was funny. My wife's driving to the car rental place. She goes, "Do you know him?" I was like, "Nope." She's like, "Does he know you're coming?" I was like, "No clue." She's like, "Isn't he like the CEO of a publicly traded company?" I was like, "Yep." She's like, "Well, call me if you get arrested." I'm like, "Okay." So then I get there, and I was like, "How am I going to do this?" And I was like, "He's wired." So all the other guys had a microphone. He had the wire up his shirt, so he had the lapel. I was like, it's going to take a minute for him to get that off. Now I just got to figure out where the sound guy is and post it by him. And so I posted up by the sound guy, and that was just right off the stage. And as soon as he got off the stage, I had 10 seconds to give him a little pitch of PaperStack, and he liked it, and, you know, we're still talking. So it was a very, very ninja move. After that, I had rented a Ford Mustang convertible, so I was driving around Jack's Beach pretty happy that I did that. So yeah, but that was fun.
But yeah, some swagger.
Yeah, no. So that was fun.
There it is, the relationship factor, Matt. That's what's gonna propel PaperStack.
Thanks.
No, that's great though. But you are going after hedge funds and larger players now. I do know that with your platform. I mean, you're not just sitting with the onesie twosies.
No, we've been talking to, you know, Breck Palumbo. Have you talked to him before?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I gotta introduce you guys. He's a great guy. He owns a Bank Prospector, the Stress Pro. So
okay.
It's a way to actually go and talk to big servicing companies, credit unions, banks, you know, guys who have a lot of assets. So we've, you know, I've been using his software, which is, you know, it's a lot of, you know, getting on the phone. A lot of what's, you know, I've heard on a recent podcast with Scott, you know, calling the banks, you know, call the banks. And so it's that same idea of, you know, getting on the phone and doing that, because, you know, they're there, the assets are there, you just got to find them. So we have been moving slowly into that world, and it can work for them. That's actually the person who told me it was an efficiency product was an institutional buyer. He basically said, he was talking about licensing, totally different thing. He was like, I could license this, and if you could save me, you know, $5 million, I'll license it for $1 million. So it's like, wow, it's a totally different world. But it's one of those things too. The first one's got to go before the other ones start to go. And so it's how do you get to that first one? So it'll get there, you know, hopefully, you know.
Absolutely. Well, this is, I'll post a link on how people can get signed up with PaperStack, or, you know, just go to paperstack.com, you know, on the group page. And Brett, if you would, because we're wrapping up here, is there anything else you'd like to touch on that you think everyone needs to know at this point?
I mean, just know that we're here for the community. Like, we're actually building features that are wanted. So, Martin, if you said, "Hey, I wish you did this," we're gonna write it down, and this guy right here walking off is gonna look at it, and he's gonna code it next week. So, I mean, we're rolling out features every week. We were gonna roll out an email today, but we're like, well, how many features are we gonna include? We're like, we can't include all these because then they're gonna get lost in the features. But we're constantly developing. So now that we've already got the whole transaction part done, all these things done, the stuff that's coming now is going to be really cool. You'll just have to see it. But the dashboard thing, we want it to help manage your business, and so it'll be really cool once it's done. But basically, all that to say, if you have something you'd like to see, we're all ears. Just send me a Brett at PaperStack. We will evaluate it. We will put on our meetings and say, hey, is this something we can do? And if we can, we'll do it. So that's pretty much it.
No, this is terrific. Yeah, for anyone just on the front end of the business and connecting buyers and sellers, to use your platform, like you said, to bring legitimacy to their practice, legality, et cetera, with all the notary services and everything. It's truly awesome what you guys have put together. Very impressed.
Thank you, Michael B. Greatly appreciate that you gave him that compliment. Yeah.
So please give your your contact information on the comments section.
Okay.
After we wrap up here, so folks know how to connect with you and PaperStack, and I wish you all the best as you guys are just doing so much, so quickly.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate this. Thanks for having us on, and to everyone, I guess next week have a great, happy Thanksgiving with your friends and family. Stay warm. And then, I'll see you guys in the comment section. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everyone take care and God bless.
See ya.